Can you hear me? Okay. Hola y bienvenidos a Bard, Bloomfield, Glenridge, Harrison, Jersey City, North Star, and Randolph. And of course, welcome to Rutgers and to anyone who's joining on our live stream. Welcome to our second annual SOMOS New Jersey Poetry and Culture Festival. We are so excited to have you here today. My name is Elena Lar-Vivaz, and I'm an associate professor here at Rutgers and director of this amazing festival, along with Jason Cortez and our art director, Jennifer Bernstein. I love SOMOS. I've been wearing orange and purple this week. My nails are done in SOMOS purple, right? And we've been planning and working towards this day for a year. We are delighted to have you here with us. SOMOS is a unique opportunity for us to come together to celebrate Spanish, Portuguese, and Latinx poetry and culture. We have a particular focus this year on Afro-Latinidades in partnership with the Marian Thompson Wright Lecture Series. And a special shout out to my colleague Lacey Hunter, who directs that series. There is a common misconception that our identities have to be singular, that if we are Afro or Black, we cannot also be Latino or Latin American. But I hope that this festival reminds us that our identities are necessarily plural, and at the same time that they are singularly rich in their diversity. We are, nosotros somos, greater together than we ever could be individually. To give you just a bit of a preview of our day, after our opening remarks, we'll have readings by the wonderful poets and writers who are here with us today. Dimitri Reyes, Keishla Rivera Lopez, and Odette Casamayor Cisneros. At 11 a.m., those of you who are participating in the poetry recitation competitions will go to our 2 breakout rooms right around the corner. If you're not participating in the poetry recitation, you'll have time to learn more about our partner organizations in the Bergen room, also right around the corner, but in the opposite direction. And we'll have boxed lunches here for you in Essex. And don't worry, I'll go over all of this again. At noon, we'll gather back here in Essex for a presentation by filmmaker Amilcar Ortiz and a musical performance by the band The Young Picassos. Please be here as close to noon as possible so we can start on time. At 12:30, we'll draw raffle tickets for prizes contributed by our community partners. Please hold on to your tickets. And then we'll close by announcing our poetry recitation and composition winners. There are campus tours immediately afterwards for those who signed up as well. If you have questions, or if you need help at any point during the day, please ask one of our team members or volunteers. You can find our festival team members wearing these orange shirts, right? We stand out in a crowd. And you can find our volunteers by looking for the volunteer badges. We are so looking forward to spending our day with you today. And now I will turn it over to our art director, Jennifer Bernstein. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So again, I'm Jennifer Bernstein. I'm an associate professor in graphic design here at Rutgers. And I wanted to talk a little bit about my involvement. What is this all about? So this is a festival to celebrate Spanish and Portuguese studies, but it's also a multidisciplinary opportunity to showcase what our university has to offer in different departments. And central to the festival was the idea of a collaboration between graphic design students and faculty, and Spanish and Portuguese studies students and faculty, to develop the concept for the name of the festival, and also a mural which is now installed in Conklin Hall. That collaboration, you can actually see one of our graphic designers from last year. The graphic design students who developed this, along with leadership by myself and Professor Jason Cortez, were Adam Calderon, Laura Gomez, and Karina Nunez, who graduated last year. And the Spanish and Portuguese studies students were Jacob Amaro, Michael Bueno, and Margaret Marino. Again, we led them to create the concept for the mural, which then became the concept for the visual identity for the festival. So this idea of collaboration is really important to us here at Rutgers and also as part of this festival. Thank you so much.
Buenos días. Buenos días. All right, aplauso, please. Yeah. So my name is Jason Cortez. I am the chair of the Spanish and Portuguese department. You can call me Jason. You can call me Cortez. You can call me Papi Chulo. That's my preferred way of calling me. Everybody knows that, right? Anyway, welcome. We're very excited to have you. You're going to be spending a couple hours with us today, and we hope that those hours are fruitful and enjoyable. So these things cannot happen without help. You need a team of people, and if things went really well, you don't see what these people do, right? This is all like behind closed doors sort of thing. But we like to thank our people, and so I'll start by thanking Vanessa Hernandez, who is our incredible admin, who is what? That's right. She's number one, because without her, this doesn't happen. I can assure you that. But we have a list of people we'd like to thank. We'll start with the Chancellor's Office. We'd like to thank their leadership. They were kind enough to support us from the get-go, and they did this via an Impact Seed grant. Hopefully, years to come, they'll keep supporting us. We have other thank yous, and of course, I'd like to thank my incredible colleagues here, Jennifer Bernstein and Elena Vivas. We have other colleagues who are, amongst you today. I can see Isadora Grevan. I can see Luciani Castillo, Javi Castro, and of course, I see some of my students who I love and who they're here because they get extra credit. So anyway, I'd like to thank Lacey Hunter. I'd like to thank Maria Kennedy, Christina Strasburger, Robin Simple, Patricia Margulis, Isaac Jimenez, of course, always helpful, and Nora Longo, always helpful as well. Also, teachers, thank you for bringing the students. That's awesome. Especially the teachers in the Teaching Advisory Board. I'd like to thank our Faculty Advisory Board. And we also have some partners. Should I read the list of partners that we have? Some community partners. So we have the HLC. I don't see Engelbert here yet. Well, he'll arrive soon. Promotion and marketing, the students, Alisa Baeza, Sara Madrid, Stephanie Perez, Nicole Peralta. Strategic partnerships, Taj Ballard, Anthony Cumbico Salas, Ailey Gray. Event management, it's okay to applaud. Event management, Annie Erigbe, Dan Ragman, Jennifer Pinales, Makini Maiga, Joshua Bradley, Lily, this is a lot of names, Lily Dag Spencer, and Janelle Haddad. Did I miss anyone? I'd like to thank myself. I'd like to thank my mother for giving birth to me. Pobrecito. So, to give you real welcoming remarks, I'd like to invite to the stage our Dean, Jacqueline Mattis, our Faculty Dean.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, that was so weak. Come on now. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. This is about poetry, right? So first and foremost, I want to thank the faculty and welcome the faculty, students from Sciences-Newark, students from our local high schools, teachers, and as someone who really loves the art of teaching, let me ask the teachers in the room to stand. Welcome all of you, and I'm just going to give a shout out to all of the teachers because I'm not going to speak for the students who are in the room, but I know that for me, I was turned on to literature and particularly to poetry by one particular teacher who I met, and she was my fourth grade teacher. And it was because of her that I discovered not only poets, but black poets and black women poets. And I never knew that that black women were writing poetry. There's no reason I would have known as a 9-year-old, right? But that moment of a teacher handing me a book written first by Emily Dickinson, who is not a black woman at all, right? But she was the person who gave me a book of poems by Ntozake Shanghai. And being given gifts of books was something really special in my household. And so to have a teacher give me a book unsolicited and tell me, you need to read this, was a game changer for me. So thank you to the teachers who are in the room for the transformative work that you do every day, for showing up for students, and for the ways that you show up and show out for the students that are not only here, but for the generations of students that you teach. So thank you all. I'm looking out in the room, and I think it's just absolutely incredible to be in the presence of not only so many people who are here to celebrate and sort of invest in understanding what poetry brings to us as a human community, but to be in the presence of so many young scholars who are doing that is really amazing to me. So I'm really excited to see each of you here. For me, poetry is deeply personal, but it's also profoundly communal, right? It's also incredibly powerful. It's sort of deeply political to me. So part of the poetry in my mind, part of the power of poetry lies in its ability to lend language to things that you didn't even know had names. I remember the first poem that Mrs. Top, my fourth grade teacher, the book of poetry that she gave me that was by Emily Dickinson before she gave me the book by Ntozake Shanghai. The very first poem that I read, and I remember it to this day, and I'm 900 years old, right? The words of the poem were, it's very simple. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us you know, don't tell. And that poem was the first moment that I realized that there was a way of describing lonely. And as a 9-year-old who was experiencing all the things that 9-year-olds experience, including the loneliness of being the kind of weird kid who liked curling up with a book and didn't really like spending a lot of time on playgrounds, right? Who liked reading things that my peers didn't like reading. There was a particular kind of loneliness that I didn't know that you had the power to name. And that poem helped me name it. It also helped me realize in just a few short lines that aloneness and loneliness is actually the thing that binds us together, right? The notion of I'm nobody, who are you? And the fact that you're nobody too in somebody's mind, but that we're all somebody to the people around us who care about us. That binding moment was something that has stayed with me for the other 830 years that I've been alive. I realized in high school that great poetry was also politicizing. When I was going to school, I was in elementary and high school, elementary school and high school in the 1980s. And there was a group of poets from the 1970s called the Last Poets. And somebody introduced me, you know the Last Poets. Somebody introduced me to a recording of the Last Poets doing their work. And I'd never heard spoken word poetry. And the Last Poets reminded me or gave me the understanding that poetry is also deeply political. It turns out that almost every political movement that has ever happened on the planet has involved two things, poetry and music. Right? And not just orchestral music or instrumental music, but lyrical music. And those lyrics are a transformation of poetry. Right? So it's important to recognize that no transformation, no social justice activity has ever happened on the planet without the presence of poetry. That's important to know. So poetry is a contemplation not only on the truth of who we are, the ability, the opportunity and the mechanism to name things that we could not name otherwise, but it's an opportunity for us to move each other into places of goodness, into the best versions of who we can be as human beings. That is what you are here to celebrate today. I'm going to leave with just a couple of other thoughts. One of the things that I I'm deeply moved by in terms of the theme for this particular gathering, Afro-Latinidades, is the recognition again that when you get a chance to hear poetry and read poetry from people who have some aspect of your identity or celebrate some aspect of your identity, it is a game changer. Again, being able to read poetry by people like Ntozake Shanghai and Lucille Clifton, who is one of my favorite poets, was a game changer for me. And I'll share with you 5 lines from one of my favorite poems, in part because it speaks to not only what I think we're here to celebrate in terms of our identities and what it means to have an opportunity to lift our identities into a different level of visibility, but what it means to be in a place like Rutgers-Newark doing that. So this is a poem, a really short poem by Lucille Clifton. It's called Why Some People Be Mad at Me Sometimes. The poem is simply this. They ask me to remember, but they want me to remember their memories. And I keep on remembering mine. Right? We are responsible for encoding into the work that we do the lives that matter to us, the lives of our grandmothers and great-grandmothers, the things that happen in our kitchens, the things that occur in our hearts and in our souls and living spaces. That is the responsibility of poets. Poets can do things and name things that no other human being can do. Theologians don't do their work in the same way. So it is your responsibility to be able to use words to craft possibilities that nobody else has a possibility to craft. It is your responsibility to look into other people's poetry and see the linkages not only to your lived experience, but to your possibilities. And to challenge those poems and other poets to be able to name the interstices and the beauties and nuances of the human community so powerfully that it names you along with other people. The work that you get to do today, the work that you're doing over the course of the courses that you're involved in is really important work, and I celebrate the fact that you're here to do it. I'm excited that you're here, and I'll close with this. I'm particularly excited that you're here at Rutgers-Newark because poetry and the arts are so central to who we are as an intellectual community. We are the home of jazz poetry. We are the home of 2 of the best known poets in the nation, John Keane and Rigoberto Gonzalez. We are the home of people who every day are translating words into opportunities to change the human condition. And whether they are doing that in the context of Spanish and Portuguese studies, or Africana studies, or biology or psychology, our folks are using the arts and they're using the sciences and the humanities to transform who we are as a human community. So I'm excited that you're here. I look forward to having you get to know our campus and get to know our faculty and our students. And before you even start, let me say I am proud of you because you are here and you're here doing the work that you're doing. Enjoy the conference.
Dimitri Reyes is a Boricua multidisciplinary artist, content creator, and educator from Newark, New Jersey. He has been named one of the best new Latinx authors of 2023 by LatinoStories.com for his most recent book, Papi Pichon, which was a finalist for the Omnidon Chapbook Contest and the Andres Montoya Poetry Prize. His other books include Every First 15th, the Digging Press 2020 Chapbook Award winner, and the poetry journal Shadow Work for Poets, now available on Amazon. Dimitri's work has been nominated for a Pushcart Prize and the Best of the Net, and you can find more of his writing in Poem a Day, Vinyl, Quelli, and Accentos. In 2023, he was also a part of the inaugural poetry cohort for the Poets and Writers Get the Word Out Publishing Incubator. Dimitri is also the marketing and communications director at Cavan Carey Press. Learn more about Dimitri by visiting his website at dimitriReyespoet.com. Dimitri Reyes es un artista multidisciplinario, creador de contenidos y educador boricua de Newark, New Jersey. Ha sido nombrado uno de los mejores nuevos autores latinos del 2023 por LatinoStories.com por su libro más reciente, Papi Pichón, que fue finalista del concurso Omnidon Chapbook y del Premio Poesía Andrés Montoya. Sus libros incluyen Every First and 15th, el ganador del Premio Chapbook 2020 de Digging Press, y la revista de poesía Shadowwork of Poets, ahora disponible en Amazon. El trabajo de Dimitri ha sido nominado para un premio Pushcart y Best of the Net, y puedes encontrar más de sus escritos en Poem a Day, Vinyl, Quelly y Acentos. En 2023 también formó parte del grupo inaugural de poesía de la incubadora editorial Poets and Writers Get the Word Out. Dimitri también es director de marketing y comunicaciones de Kevin Carey Press. Conozca más sobre Dimitri visitando su sitio de web dimitryreyespoet.com.
Please join me in welcoming Dimitri Reyes.
I always love being the first one up because usually that's when we're starting to get the setup. So at any point in time, there was silence. I was like, do I have to do this to come up? Can you all hear me okay? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Mi gente, my people. I am Dimitri Reyes, and that's my picture. It's really funny because I didn't expect that to happen, and it showed a bunch of my tricks. So hopefully when I do the tricks, it still feels like a surprise. The only time the magic behind the webcam is going to move is for the first thing. I usually bless this space with a beginning reading, and I need all of your participation. Some of you look a little bleary-eyed and tired. You've been sitting for a little while. You might be a little dehydrated, so I'm going to get everyone kind of engaged in the beginning. In order to do this, you're just going to have to be able to stomp your feet when I do this. So we're going to try it real quick. When I put my hands up, you're going to stomp your feet. But when I put my hands down, what do you think you're going to do? Stop. That's perfect. Y'all are geniuses. Okay. Try it. Listen, because it's going to get better. Everyone's going to start being a cohesive unit by the time we get at the end of this. All right. Ooh, okay. Ha, well, you guys are good, okay. No, keep going, keep going. You guys make me sound better. Mother Botanica, well, hold on. Morph 99 cents of sliced bread into dough balls for breakfast. Saturday morning, very early, no butter, no mayo, just filled with my daily bread. Going to the Botanica on a half-empty stomach to fill yourself up on sweat guides and the tears of me. I am no air conditioner. I am heat and murmur. You are not your world, but I am not your island. I am what you bring to me, the thing at the storefront. Vibrations and shakers, greeting me in the language of your grandmama's swollen feet. Come into me, son. I am, yo soy, I am agua, Nile River rich. I said I am agua, Nile River rich. I said I am agua, Nile, agua, Nile River rich. Disguised in the espiritismo of hongo san and alcolado, our people still come here by the baskets. And when it is your chance to find me, I will be here waiting for you. Thank you. So a lot was spoken about in the last 10 minutes. We mentioned jazz poetry. We mentioned the last poets and Entezaki Shange. And if you're not familiar with any of those three things, I do suggest you do write those down. That is our canon. That is our black and brown canon that we need to be familiar with. I am a Newark poet, and as a Newark poet, I've been raised in both the jazz and Nuyorican traditions. And if my gente doesn't know the Nuyorican tradition, you also need to write that down. So with that being said, I exist in the in-betweens of jazz and in the betweens of Spanish speaking and bilingualism. But even furthermore, beyond the binary language of Spanish and English, we also have these other languages when we're talking to our friends, when we're talking to our parents. Growing up, I knew that I spoke different in the streets than I did at school. And I admit I wasn't always the best student, but I still graduated from a Newark high school in my top 15%, which was a great thing to do. I had no thank you, the one clap. Which was a great thing to do. And I had no aspirations to go to college, but this ring on my finger means I am now married to my high school sweetheart. And I was like, I'm not gonna go to college, and she said, you're going to college. So what I went to do, I went to college. I went to Jersey City University first, and then after that I went to Rutgers Newark. And y'all, I almost failed. I know, no, woohoo. I almost failed twice. Damn, I know. I had one semester in between me failing twice, and I was sitting in EOF in advisement, and they're like, Dimitri, you gotta turn this around. So after many majors, I ended up becoming an English major, and I started killing it, y'all. I started killing it. Then later I found poetry. So when we're talking about the importance of poetry, it gave me a voice for me to actually understand where I was coming from. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to exist in an identity, what some of you now call Riz. I didn't need to exist in the Riz, right? And I could just become who I was. And I actually got that through poetry. So what I'm actually gonna do, I have a couple more poems left. I'm gonna try to hit the 5 wards. I know Bard is the only school that's from the area here, but many of you probably have, yeah, shout out to Bard people. But I know that some of you might have Newark Association, so is anyone from the North Ward? All right, South Ward, Central Ward, East Ward, West Ward. All right, so those folks that aren't in the room too, there'll be poems for them too. So my first one I'm actually gonna start with is called Third Generation. And this is my story. We are grass, cracked cement. Dollar store, chalk breaking on rough sidewalk, dust kissing our jeans when children cross streets, watching out for buses, code switching between careful, bus is turning, and cuidado, el autobús están girando. We are empanadas for breakfast and white rice for dinner. We are C&C sodas and sunflower seeds chucked into our chucks, New Balances, SB Dunks or Retro 4s. Our countries are in our minds. The megapixels of palms, grass, and sand seen on barbershop and bodega walls come in 4K. We are change the channel on your IO triple play. We don't know how to respond to It's Your Heritage Month because every month should be our month. Someone says, for what? Our foreheads wrinkle and repeat. For what, que, for what, for que? We are 4K and our last names leave us naked. We know there are more of us, never think there are too many of us. In America, we're included if we see us in America until they no longer see us in America. We are raised by our grandparents, here or not, while our parents are still figuring it out. The thing is, we're all still figuring it out. We are a part of the same gene pool until a different one is uncovered. We are the equivalent of standing in the wrong line at the DMV, understanding English faster than we forget Spanish, and that still doesn't license us our star-spangled freedom. We are at their friend's house with a clear enough pool and say, damn, if only we can live in weather like this year-round, where that friend reaches across 4 generations of Hispanos to say, you wildin', I'm not on the island, I don't even like the heat. How many sneakerheads we got in the house? All right, what's the latest Kyrie sneaker? Dang, okay. Well, you know what? I'll switch the poem then since it's that whack. Let us go to the next one. So actually, what are y'all wearing now? Can someone raise your hand and tell me what's the hot sneaker? Because man, if the Kyrie ones aren't there, then you know I got some work to do. What is it? The Adidas. The Jordans. Nike. Isn't Kyrie sponsored by Nike? Can I read it? Anyway, all right, next poem. We'll start the debate after the reading. All right. So, a part of my writing too is a bit research-based. So, how many of you are familiar with the 1967 Newark riots, which is also called the Newark Rebellion? Okay. So that was a point in time where the black community in Newark rose up against police brutality. And that was around the same time of civil rights unrest movements, rebellions that were happening all over the United States. What a lot of people don't know, in 1974, there was also a smaller Puerto Rican rebellion that had happened in the same area. And that actually started what would later become the Young Lords and have places like La Casa de Don Pedro and Aspira, and they actually got assistance from the Black Panthers. So this is a poem about it actually happening, and this is called Papi Pichon, Grabbed by the Collar. And you're not gonna know what Papi Pichon is, it's gonna be the last poem I read. You were there too, Bronx, Chicago, Camden, Patterson, Newark. The years before and or after, if I must be measured further. It could have been dice or domino, a spat curse or loogie, a Molotov or flower, but you were there too. In a city somewhere unexamined, there's face behind the faces of people, strollers, vocal cords vibrating in the parks, in their homes, in these streets. The same or different, this is riot. Depending on who you ask, it's just a whistle sounding like the throes of joy falling on ears elsewhere. A siren somewhere that reminds us that tension sounds like riot in their mouths, not ours, when we wail. Disturbance is such a funny word. Grotesque is the tune between two front teeth, knocked out in a tussle because they hate to see their whiteness between our lips. It was never to go beyond this. They'd hate to see a demonstration of public happiness. Witness. Thank you. And again, this one is actually from a poem after Ntozake Shange. I actually met Ntozake Shange before her death. She was a big voice in the black poetry movement, the black arts movement, and then later the jazz movement. And she used to hang out with a lot of the New Yorkers. That's kind of where the black and brown unity has always stood the strongest, in that 70s and 80s movements, and that's how you see us in our communities today. Although arguably, we're not going to get into that, but I do think that there could be more of a unity between our community. This one was actually after her death. She wrote a poem called I Need to Talk to a Puerto Rican, which was based right after Hurricane Maria that ravaged the island of Puerto Rico, and it's still seeing the effects of it. So this is my response poem to it. And this is called Papi Pichon Picks Up the Phone, after Ntozake Shange's I Need to Talk to a Puerto Rican. Escúchame, hermana, we're here and I promise to lay you down. Decir tus soul sister words in either language that was forced upon us, and I'll hold you under my bosom until we match heartbeats. Poeta y alma hermosa, the lifeblood of unity in a held out hand, I thank you, for every uttered vowel was a piece of rainbow that helped hold each other up. Let us talk one last time in a tongue that assaults us both, that says we are here, we'll be here, and one day we will be gone but not forgotten. No, because the body is separate entity from soul. Your voice is what's remembered most, so let this grito be just for you. Let these streets sing joy, though even the tiniest of holes, universes between the fabric of head wraps. In your name, let us kick up Mother Earth and invite her back into our pores, so that in the face of death, you make us braver than ever before. Escúchame, hermana, we need to talk. There is a future, and you, and you, and me, and you will be in that future. I promise. Thank you.
Odette Casamayor Cisneros is Associate Professor of Latin American and Caribbean Cultural Studies at the University of Pennsylvania and the inaugural Roberto C. Goyzeta Distinguished Presidential Fellow at the University of Miami's Cuban Heritage Collection. Centered on the Afro-Latin American and Afro-Latinx experiences, Professor Casamayor's current work examines self-identification processes and the production of counter-hegemonic knowledge in the global African diaspora. Previous publications include the 2023 book, Utopia, Distopia e Ingravidez, Reconfiguraciones Cosmológicas en la Narrativa Postsoviética Cubana, and the collection of stories, Una Casa en los Catskills, in 2016. Her numerous award-winning academic, journalistic, and literary works are featured in renowned publications such as Small Acts, Transition, Latin American and Caribbean Ethnic Studies, Cuban Studies, Bulletin of Latin American Review, and Cahiers d'études africaines. Casamayor Cisneros earned a PhD in Arts and Literature at the School of Advanced Studies for the Social Sciences in Paris, France, and holds a BA in Journalism from the University of Havana. Fellowships and grants from, among others, Harvard University, the Rockefeller Foundation, and UNESCO have supported her research. Odette Casamayor Cisneros es profesora asociada de Estudios Culturales de América Latina y del Caribe en la Universidad de Pensilvania y miembro presidencial distinguido inaugural Roberto C. Goyzeta de la Colección de Herencia Cubana de la Universidad de Miami, centrado en las experiencias afro-latinoamericanas y afro-latinex. El trabajo actual de la profesora Casamayor examina los procesos de autoidentificación y la producción de conocimiento contrahegemónico de la diáspora africana global. Sus publicaciones anteriores incluyen el libro Utopia, Distopia e Ingravidez, Reconfiguraciones Cosmológicas en la Narrativa Postsoviética Cubana de 2013, y la colección de cuentos Una Casa en los Catskills de 2016. Sus numerosos trabajos académicos, periodísticos y literarios premiados aparecen en publicaciones de renombre, como Small Acts, Transition, Latin American and Caribbean Ethnic Studies, Cuban Studies, Bulletin of Latin American Review y Cahiers d'études africaines. Casamayor Cisneros obtuvo un PhD de la Escuela de Estudios Avanzados para las Ciencias Sociales en París, Francia, y tiene un BA en Periodismo de la Universidad de Havana. Becas y subvenciones de, entre otros, la Universidad de Harvard, la Fundación Rockefeller y la UNESCO han apoyado su investigación.
Hi, good morning, and thank you all for being here first. And can you hear me or? No? Okay. So I was saying good morning, and thank you for being here today. It is a pleasure and an honor. And I am extremely, of course, thank you for the invitation. I want to thank the professors Elena Larvivas, Jason Cortez, and Jennifer Bernstein, and Vanessa Hernandez as well for the organization. Now it's better? Yes. Good, right. And actually, well, I have to say that I have been particularly moved by the title of this festival, SOMOS, We Are. And this is what I am going to talk about. Who are we? And that's why I think that what I am going to say today, and please let me know when I should stop. No, please, there is no problem about that. Just make a sign, and I don't want to boring you at all. So, so what I wanted to say is that what I will talk today is somehow really related with the opening remarks by Dean Jacqueline Mattis. Really. So how do we do with the, no, I'll let you know when, with the, okay, so my first question is, what is to be, let me just this, I don't know how to use it, okay. Yeah, perfect. So, what is to be an Afro-Latina? What is to be an Afro-Cuban woman born and raised in Havana, living in the United States? I am bringing here some meditations on how to chronicle and embrace our blurred origins, how to articulate the narratives of our present existence. How can we keep imagining tomorrows with us at the center of it? Oh, that's fine, eh? That's perfect. Yeah, I already that's perfect. Yeah. Okay, we are there now. I am a descendant of enslaved Africans, and as such, I can be seen as a miscalculation in Western history, a descendant of people classified as commodities rather than as proper human beings. Living as a black woman in the Americas implies walking through the world burdened by the weight of identities originally chiseled from the oppressment of enslaved African women, whose bodies were prized for their ability to increase the master's capital through physical labor and biological procreation. These are the identities that over the centuries are replicated in commodified images as maids, cooks, caregivers, prostitutes, welfare mothers, matriarchs. From childhood, we are forced to learn and accept our supposed otherness and the dispossessions resulting from this condition. We grow up wandering like zombies in territories where we are always in excess, where struggling to belong. Every day we get more and more lost, more and more unknown, moving away from ourselves, expelling ourselves. Yes, it is said that I am black, that I am Cuban, also Caribbean and Latin American, and a Latina woman. It is assumed that through these classifications, I am recognized in the spaces where my dark body bursts in. These are my presumed identities, but they don't protect me from the overwhelming feeling of being out of place, always the improper body, never expected, welcome, or chosen. Blackness, womanhood, Cubanness, Caribbeanidad. As long as we uncritically accept these identities, our bodies are kept within the realm of improperness, unable to properly belong, homeless bodies. I have lived by now more years in Europe and the United States than in Havana. After I left Cuba in the 1990s, at the cause of the devastating crisis that lasts until today, I jumped from Paris to New York to the suburbs of Connecticut and Philadelphia. But the fact is that in all places throughout the world, I am always covered by the same dark skin, always black, though never the same black woman. I've been a black Cuban immigrant in Paris, France, where I pursued my graduate studies, and Paris stood as the ancient city of stone walls and unyielding traditions, where my dreams, against all odds, persisted and remained steadfast. I wanted to imagine that I would follow in the steps of James Baldwin, Josephine Baker, and Nina Simone, thank you. Also, I wanted to imagine that I would follow in the steps of James Baldwin, Josephine Baker, and Nina Simone, who in France found an oasis of tolerance where they hoped to escape segregation in the United States. But I wasn't that lucky. In Paris, I often thought that I could not finish my doctorate successfully, somehow like you. I grappled with feelings of rejection and persistent self-doubt. Was I rejected because of my origins, for my incomplete mastery of the language that very soon, however, I ended up making entirely mine, for not being white, not being European, not being a man, not coming from some illustrious dynasty of Parisian intellectuals? To overcome alienation, I searched for communities that I could belong to. In Paris, I discovered and fully embraced my Caribbean identity over my Cubanness, and I started imagining Africa as home. I read works by Martinican poets, Aimé Césaire, the Senegalese Léopold Sédar Senghor, and Guadeloupean writer Maurice Condé, and listened to music from Cameroonian Manu Dibango and Algerian Rai, for instance. I also read the entire work by the Antillean thinkers Frantz Fanon and Edouard Glissant, which helped me understand my identity. I've also been a Black Cuban immigrant in American urban enclaves like New York, Philadelphia, and Miami. And even over a decade, I survived in a bland, mostly white, middle-class town in Connecticut. There I was the Black single mother who drove almost every week to New York to dance for a few hours. That's true. Despite my attempts to assimilate into silence, conformity, and a stringent self-regulation that masked my neighbors' dearth of affection and their aversion to change, I never truly felt at home, let alone accepted in New England. I remember that clear Saturday in January 2017, the 21st to be precise. The women of our town had organized a field trip-like journey to join the Women's March in Washington, D.C. And those of us who couldn't go for lack of money or time or energy or just because we weren't invited, tried to march in front of our state capital. But in the end, I couldn't join these women either. I just stayed there, paralyzed in front of them, looking for the group of white women who, considering themselves very progressive or even woke, joyfully took selfies for their Instagram accounts. #Women's March. They were protesting, marching, or so they thought, but I couldn't identify with them, so I left. I drove through the impoverished neighborhoods located a few blocks away from the state capitol. And there, finally tending to their families, doing groceries, taking care of their homes, I saw the Black and Latina women who had spent their week cleaning, cooking, and taking care of the woke suburban women's children. So their mothers had time to sit down and knit the pink pussy hats and decorate banners as if it were a school assignment. So where is home? This is actually a critical question across the Afro diaspora. Thus, the African writer and Nobel laureate Toni Morrison asked, how do we decide where we belong? An interrogation echoed by the scholar Saidiya Harman when she wrote, what place in the world could say for 100 years of yearning for a home? It seems that uprootedness and errantry are fatally inscribed in my DNA as a Black woman of the Americas. My seed was planted in uprooting, the displacement of my African ancestors, for whom it was impossible to consider as their own the very place in which they spent their existence as enslaved people, the territory they were forced to call home and worship as their homeland. So I grew up longing for wandering, to live without limits, free from the limitations of my skin, language, culture, and wealth. I wanted to dissolve in the waters. I dreamed of living in a place where I could walk around carelessly and not feel like I am walking on fragile glass, measuring each step. That imaginary place could be eventually my home, where I could feel constantly, where I wouldn't feel constantly watched by people who don't even know me, or maybe do not even exist. All those cases. First, those of my protective mothers, aiming to make me appear impeccable so that no one could ever embrace me. Niña, cierra esa boca que la bemba te va a llegar al suelo. Oye, ¿hasta cuándo vas a estar con esas pasas sin deslizar? Y acaba de secarte el sudor en la frente que pareces una negra esclava trabajando en un cañaveral. And then, hovering above their benevolent bases, they aware the ubiquitous surveillance services in every country I have lived in, immigration officers, security cameras, impertinent drones, doormen, and receptionists. And there have been the inquisitive stares of teachers and school and professors and deans and provosts at the universities, of the gazes of my classmates and colleagues, all wondering what I am doing among them with my very, very, very dark body. It felt like everyone was examining me and judging me, even if, when I turned around, I saw no one. Only the shadows of a judgment in permanence waiting over a black woman, but I can't manage to shake them down. Can I have the next one? Thank you. Yeah. That chorus of children around me, shooting merciless reminders of how I am viewed, with contempt and suspicion, as someone who is always out of place. Nappy-haired black girl, go back to Congo. My classmates in Havana would shout at me during recess in front of the plaster bust of our founding father, Jose Marti, and the framed portraits of Che Guevara and Fidel Castro. Was Africa supposed to be home then? I can see him again, just body, the biggest, the funniest guy in my third grade class, undoing the white silky ribbons that my grandmother braided every morning into my hair. No matter how impeccably dressed and groomed I was, my classmates would always make fun of me and threaten to send me back to Congo. I would have liked to respond by sharing the story of the Yoruba woman who was my grandmother's great-grandmother. Yes. I would have liked to tell them that ultimately, if I were to return to some original site, it would have been to a place called Casimba in the Cuba's eastern province of Guantanamo, at the foot of a ceiba tree where my family has decided that our origins begins. But how can I decide myself, but how can I defend myself when I don't even know if the stories my grandmother told me were true or just a product of her imagination? I definitely lack of reliable sources. What archive documents the true history of the descendants of the slaves in the Americas? Because our ancestors have been much more than recorded, than what is recorded in birth certificates and deeds of purchase and sale. To reconstruct our history, we must unapologetically rely on our family legends, whispered here and there. That's our history, the history we conceived about ourselves, from ourselves. Okay. The stories related to our umbilical cord. Can I put the next one? The gaze of my great-great-grandmother advances from the phone screen, piercing through me. It was taken in the late 19th or early 20th century. We couldn't say for sure. No one in our family ever could. Uncertainty plagues our history, yes. We cannot know where precisely in Africa were our ancestors abducted. What were their names? How did they live before they were forced across the Atlantic to begin their new lives as non-men, non-women? There are no names, places, or dates. We are left only with the memory of the flesh. I will just go faster, so I'll probably skip to the... So this image actually reveals the person that is understood in my family as the origins of our family. And of course, it's not in the historical archives. And she was supposed to be a maroon slave. Maroon is a fugitive slave, so someone that had the agency and the power to free herself. This is what exactly means a maroon. It's not just somebody that escapes a plantation, it's somebody that by escaping the plantation creates a new world and creates herself and decides who she is. And this is my heritage. This is the heritage of many black women and many, not black women, many people of color throughout the world. And it's the heritage that I encourage us to follow. So, and I end here. There is also this, this quote by James, that African-American writer James Baldwin. He says, "The place in which I fit will not exist until I make it." So probably running away, escaping is not the actual solution. The solution is finding this palenque, our own place, this home. So where is home is inside of ourselves. This is, and we have to create it, as James Baldwin says. So it is ultimately within myself and within each of you that we can find home. I no longer run away. In the territory of my black flesh, I have planted the palenque I needed. From there, from my flesh, I fight. And my resistance is woven into my rebirth as a black Latina, forged by me, from me, for me, giving birth to myself. Thank you so much.
Keishla Rivera Lopez is a literary and cultural studies scholar, writer, and poet specializing in Latino, and Caribbean literature, Latinx studies, and Puerto Rican studies, with a focus on Latinidad, cultural production, archives, and memory. Keishla was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey to Puerto Rican migrants and reflects on what it means to be a child of diaspora in her scholarship and writing. In her free time, she enjoys writing poetry, short stories, plays, and essays. Her writing has been published in Centro Journal, Label Me Latina Latino Journal, Hispanophilia Journal, The Acentos Review, Decolonial Passage, The Newarker, and Journal for Latina Feminist Criticism. Keishla Rivera López es una académica, escritora y poeta de estudios literarios y culturales que especializa en literatura latina y caribeña, estudios latinos y estudios puertorriqueños con un enfoque en la latinidad, la producción cultural, los archivos y la memoria. Keishla nació y creció en Newark, New Jersey, hija de inmigrantes puertorriqueños, y reflexiona sobre lo que significa ser un hijo de diáspora en sus estudios y escritos. En su tiempo libre le gusta escribir poesía, cuentos, obras de teatro y ensayos. Sus escritos han sido publicados en Central Journal, Label Me Latina o Latino Journal, Hispanophilia Journal, The Acentos Review, Decolonial Passage, The Newarker, y The Journal for Latina Feminist Criticism.
Hello everyone, can you hear me? Yes. Well, thank you to whoever made that video. That was very embarrassing. Thank you. Yeah, somebody in the orange shirt. So, like the video said, I'm Keishla Rivera Lopez. I am from Newark, so I'm really happy to be here, mostly because this is my hometown, and because I'm a graduate of Rutgers University, Newark. At the time, I was the youngest person to receive an American Studies PhD, so I'm really proud of that. Did that change anything? No, I still stand. So before I start, I just want to say that, one, thank you to Jason, my mentor, who without a lot of this wouldn't be possible. And then I want to say that I was a writer first, even before I knew it, before I was a scholar, but that they both inform a lot of my creative and scholarly works and are the reason for what I do. So first, I want to thank the amazing organizers of this event and the opportunity to share my work in dialogue with the amazing artists that have been here already. I want to echo what the Dean has said about the importance of writing, of literature and representation. It's a lot about what I teach in my classrooms currently. And I want to thank all of you, all the high school students who are here and the teachers and this grand audience for sharing your time with me and all of us. So I was asked to reflect on the importance of poetry and Afro-Latinidades, but to also be brief. I know. In preparing what I wanted to say to all of you, I had to remember that this is not one of my 80-minute lectures that I get paid to do, but that I have to be concise and not waste anybody's time here. So here are my brief comments. When thinking about Afro-Latinidades, I believe there needs to be more visibility and support to the work that is already produced by Afro-Latinos in literature and other genres and mediums. Personally, it is a part of the decolonial framework and practice I use in my classroom by teaching my students to debunk the myths currently associated with Latinidad that upholds whiteness through concepts like mestizaje, and by including Afro-Latino texts and writers and materials in my class lectures and syllabi to highlight the work that is currently being done by Afro-Latinos. In doing so, I ask my students to really pay attention to, how Afro-Latinos write about their own identities and experiences and the issues we should be considering and how we can be allies. I noticed that the short story form and poetry are extremely popular with my students and that they love and gravitate towards Elizabeth Acevedo's work, particularly her slam poetry readings of Afro-Latina and hair, because it is an honest reflection of her rejecting the practices of straightening her hair that have become cultural norms in Dominican culture and a lot of other Latino cultures, while also providing a rich historical context that makes her who she is. In the same vein, I am an advocate for poetry because it is accessible and personal, which makes it hard to ignore. In their craft, poets provide raw and authentic renditions of specific moments that provide visibility and explanations that inform us, unite us, and also promote healing. I remember learning about how Mayra Santos Febres, for example, organized poetry workshops that became open mics in the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Maria while people were in the midst of survival, so that people could vocalize their experience, but to also mourn, release pain, and to heal together. And all of this was organic, and I think a collection came out of that. Poetry for me has always been a creative outlet to express my feelings on what I experienced as a Puerto Rican woman, raised in a working class neighborhood in an urban city as a Latina, and as a first-generation academic in my family, because I was not meant to be here. I was not groomed, I was not prepared, and I always felt like I did not belong in the ivory tower, especially currently teaching at an Ivy League institution. No matter what stage I have been in my life, there has been something to write about. And the more I share my work, the more I realize that I don't only write for me, but for the people I seek to represent or the people who connect with my work, like my mother, my tias, my abuelas, and all the women that I know that have been silenced. People have come up to me and expressed how they connected with my poetry because of the way I talk about learning to love my hair and my name, for example. These moments move me and motivate me to produce more even when I'm tired, occupied with work, or feeling like my writing isn't good enough. I'm here to tell all of you, right, because it's a poetry competition, if you want to write, don't look for permission, just do it. And I'm not trying to be a Nike sponsor or anything, but think about why you want to write and just go for it. Write the messy draft and edit it later and edit it again, because you don't know how necessary it is for you to write until you do it. As a student and scholar of literature, I know it is an attempt to highlight certain experiences or stories that have been included, untold, or simply misrepresented that enables writers to be agents in writing their own histories, their memories, and their futures that they have not seen possible for themselves or the collective. To put it simply, writing is power. So I have 3 poems to share for you, and they're all different. So I'm going to start with the first one, Mofongo, a sensory memory. Oh, because I'm very Puerto Rican, and I love food. Mofongo is the epitome of Puerto Rican cooking. It is smashed plantains and mirths of loaves of garlic and Puerto Rican soul. It is salsa and ritmo. It is plena and bomba. It is the blackness that lives in our food. No matter the efforts of the Spanish to erase the Boricuas, to whiten them via colonialism, mofongo, pasteles, and the countless dishes are additions to our culture that prove otherwise. That subverts the notion and attempts of blanqueamiento, because this food tells a different story from the dominant narrative. Mofongo is made in a a mortar and pestle, and un pilon with the strength of pulsating hands and strong arms of the matriarch, who grinds ingredients together. And in this friction, I listen to the stories made available. This culinary process reveals the whispers of our ancestors from the coastal towns and mountainous campos of the island across the wide Caribbean Sea. Mofongo is the taste of smashed plantains immersed in loads of garlic and sal con chicharrones, epitomizing the Puerto Rican soul. It is the archipelago, the smell of banana leaves swaying under the sun. It is diaspora. It is power. It is an archive of taste and memory. This one is My Hair Tells a Story. I remember being teased when I was younger because of my hair. As a little girl, I went to Dominican salons because I fantasized about having straight hair. I wanted to finally have no questions asked hair, uncomplicated hair, can I touch your hair. What I eventually believed to be pretty hair. Even if it was temporary, a week at best, if I wore a shower cap and straightened my baby hairs in the morning, with a drop of water or sweat, my hair reverted back to curl form and bounced in the way it was always intended to. Which lay as a reminder that my curls, like me, were never meant to be fully docile. Because we are constantly told to lighten and straighten our hair in hopes of steaming out any reminder that you come from a colonized people. I'm not gonna front, I still go to Dominican salons for the occasional blowout or doobie, but something changed in me. I'm not doing this out of shame or the desire to be beautiful in their eyes. My hair tells the story of a girl who tried every trick in the book to make it less big, to occupy less space, to be less in your way, so it wouldn't be an object of ridicule or deemed unprofessional. Now my tight curls dance as I walk, refusing to assimilate. I want nothing more than for my hair to grow and extend towards the sky like a sunflower reaching for the sun, because I don't want it to be less than anymore. I want it to be boundless like the Caribbean Sea. This is my last one. It's called Diaspora Dream, and I wrote it recently and only performed it once before. I'm still workshopping it. So feel free to let me know what you think. I have a dream sometimes that feels more like a nightmare in the night, like a ghost trying to devour me, a feeling trying to overpower me, a dream where Borinquen is being emptied out, poured out, her people go sporadically like a wastebasket flipped upside down, the contents disperse up and down throughout the United States, a move that is rationally sound, choosing between the cold in the north and the sun that resembles the Caribbeans in the south, something warm enough to hug your spirit and embrace that feels somewhat like home. Borinquen spills into the Caribbean Sea, the waves of diaspora transporting people back and forth like a game of tug-of-war, a rubber band that will always bring you back, even temporarily. Because you see, they don't truly want to leave. Se van allá afuera because they believe a better opportunity awaits them there, because they've been displaced by hurricanes and Airbnb opportunities, environmental catastrophes, tourist economies that erase incrementally what is Boricua about Borinquen. It removes vital pieces, Puerto Rican people and culture from the island's ecologies. I dreamed this dream as a baby of diaspora, as a child of migrants who packed their bags and left in the 70s for work but made a point to return, so my siblings and I could see the true beauty of the Puerto Rican people, of their pride, of their resilience, of alcapurrias, rellenos y frituras, sancochos y arroz y habichuelas, of coquis singing in the campo, roosters and cows calling you to arise at dawn, of beaches with blue cerulean waters, clean and free of illegal privatization and gringo power, of the vibrant campos made of tropical hues that fed and shaped our bloodlines and provided cuentos and remedios for generations to come. A place for us to return to, a place to call home. I awake scared and anxious because I wonder, where will my children go? Will the places and people that cultivated me during summer break still be there? What will my children see and learn if Puerto Ricans are being pushed out? Will Borinquen be something else? I panicked because in this dream, I could no longer find pinchos for $1, or empanadillas de pizza y carne sold out of a truck en la playa y yo lloro. I cry because I can no longer hear the beautiful cacophony of Puerto Rican Spanish, un poco alborete pero siempre bello y lleno de historia. There's no more reggaeton or dembow playing on the speakers of the beach goers, but instead the latest viral pop hit last heard on the American radio. I wake up trying to reassure myself that it's just a dream. Solo fue un sueño, nada de eso es verdad. That's what I tell myself, and then I remember the news of tax havens and opportunities for outsiders in Puerto Rico, and I know the number of encroaching Airbnb rentals just keep on growing, like the number of Puerto Ricans that live in the continental United States, which is more than the archipelago, and then there's nothing that can soothe my soul.
Reyes, Keishla Rivera, Odette Casamayor Cisneros. All right, people, we have time for a couple questions. Just a few questions. Una o dos. Questions? Come on, be brave. This is your last chance to ask them a question. Come on. Venga, profesora. Aplauso a la profesora.
Thank you, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Jersey City's in the house. My Jersey City students, raise your hand. Yes. Yes, I have a personal question. Sometimes I have been teaching 20 years, and sometimes the students who want to write, they're very shy, you know, because they feel like somebody will say something wrong. This means my question is how we can empower our students to be free to write. Because I have a short history. My son was in Orlando, Florida, tried to read. And everybody tried to, you know, what are you reading right here? We're trying to social media and enjoy. Why you suggest me to empower all this generation to write and not be afraid to write? Yes or no? Who like to write right here? Raise your hand. Yes. Raise your hand if you love to write. How we can empower them and more people. Thank you.
I would say that if you can speak, you can write. Writing simply is just taking what we say to our friends and to our family and just putting it on paper. I think the importance of writing could be done together communally. So the easiest thing I encourage teachers to do, there's this thing called the one-word story. And you get a group of students together, and everyone says one word, and what you try to do is you develop a story, one word at a time. When you start doing that together, you actually realize that the process of writing is literally just sitting there and thinking of stuff. And we're all thinking constantly. So if we put it down together, then it's easier to put it down ourselves. And there's a lot of things that you're thinking about right now that you don't know you're thinking about. If you put it down on paper, you actually be surprised when it comes up. Thank you.
My answer is a little differently. I would say to read more, and I know that's not what you want to hear, but you have to see what is out there to see what you have to say and how it's different. And then this is echoing what Jason has taught me in grad school. He always told me, you're not a writer yet. You don't know what you want to say. Read more, right? Read what people have said. And that's fine, that's okay. But I will also say to just have time by yourself and just do it anyway without permission, as I said before, because there's going to be blockades, right? There's going to be fences, and you just have to work through that. And I think representation is important, so the teachers in the classroom. I never really saw myself in what we were reading in class, except for like when I finally read Sciences-Newark, and then I was like, oh, that's somebody like me, right? A Latina, a woman writing, and I think it's what the dean said before, when you see that, you can see yourself in literature, so then you can see yourself actively producing literature as well. So I think that that is what matters, representation most importantly.
Thank you for this question, and I will actually address both the students and professors and teachers. And it's sometimes what is not legitimized by academia, what is not in the so-called legitimized knowledge, is somehow, well, as I said, so it's not privileged, it's seen like a minor source of knowledge in our classrooms. And I would say we have to change that. We have to empower other stories, other ways of understanding our world. And of course, using the reading and the writing, opening yourself to everything. And yes, this is what I would do.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. How about a student? Vente. No, pare, sigue, no.
I don't really got a question. I just want to say the poems were great. Like I don't know if it'll make me a poem or writer, but I think it was great. I just want to ask if I could get all your autographs, maybe, you know. That's what I want to do. And yeah, I got more.
All right. One more. Two. Bang.
So as I was hearing their poems, sometimes it scares me because I relate to it too much. and I was just thinking about fear. Was there ever a point in time where like you were just really scared to write? And there was just like, you just didn't want to go up there. Like you wanted to say these stories, but you always like fear people's reactions or how you're going to present yourself or how it's going to be taken by others.
Miedo. ¿Quién tiene miedo?
I'm actually scared every time I come up and look at all your faces. There was a story or a technique that I got taught one of my first semesters of college. And it was called channeling that nervous energy. So I usually start with that blessing poem because it even takes me out of my own self. The most embarrassing thing is for me to sing poorly in front of 300 people. But once that's out of the way, it kind of sets me in the direction of being the most comfortable I could be. There is a problem with writing, and it's why we don't do it, and it's because the stuff is scary. You don't know what you're going to write until you actually start writing. And the scary part is you could start realizing that you thought you were someone, but you were actually someone else when you're actually on paper. How do you reconcile that? I'm still figuring it out. And I actually think writers are always figuring that out. I think everyone that presented today, we're still discovering who we are because you're in this constant process of growing and evolving. Your body generates new cells every 6 to 8 months. So within a couple of years, you are actually a new person. Every single, maybe 2 or 3 years. And even thinking about that, that's scary. What really helps me reconcile is the fact that the individual that was just up there and said that I was scared because it was me. It sounded so much like me. Really, the reason why I teach and the reason I write is because there is commonalities between me and all of you. And unless if we start writing that down, we don't start making other connections to unify one another, right? I said I wasn't going to talk about the black and brown experience a bit earlier because we're both unified, but we're also separate. Because we exist in all of these different templates and identities. But when it comes down to it, we're all just individual people. We all get pricked, we bleed, right? We all get sad. We all do things that make us happy. So I think the leading marker of going into writing, and I'm gonna land this plane, y'all, don't worry. The leading marker of us going into writing and being scared is that if you are scared when you're writing, it's a human condition for you to feel that way. That means you're alive, that means you have ethics, and that means you just have to go through that. And I guarantee you when you show that work to someone else, they're gonna be happy about it.
Well, I guess I'll echo a lot what Dimitri said about fear not going away. I was terrified of being here today too. Maybe I hid it, maybe I didn't, but I think it's finding a way to navigate how you're gonna embrace that fear and how you can just push forward anyway. And I think every part of the process is scary. The part of like, I wanna write this poem or I wanna write this short story. Then you put it on paper and it's different than what you imagined. And then you edit it and then you send it out and oh my God, it's getting published. And that's scary too, because it's like people are gonna see this, your vulnerable side comes out. It's not just for you anymore, right? But we talked about how poetry is political, right? Or how it's not just for the personal, it's for the collective. There's a reason why you're doing it, right? You have to figure that out and push beyond that fear. And then after it gets published, somebody might invite you to speak in front of 300 high school students. And then you're like, this is out of my wheelhouse, but I'm gonna do it anyway, right? So it's finding a way to navigate that and just constantly pushing forward. But as more opportunities come, as you publish or share more of your work, you just gotta keep finding new levels of fear that you're gonna have to encounter and just push through. So don't let that stop you, because it's not going away. Just do it anyway.
Hi, as I was listening to your poems, your pieces of writing, I see that you're sharing such things that are close to your heart, how you grow up, the people you are. How do you find the courage and the ability to put all those deep inner thoughts about yourself into your writing? And how does it make you feel knowing that so many people out there that you don't even know or might not even meet know who you are as a person and know what you went through in your struggles?
Yes, well, I think the question is that I ask myself all the time, when I am always afraid, of course, of writing and to being exposed. But the thing is, what I ask myself is why I'm doing this, not for myself. So why this words has to be out there? What is people taking from that? So this is what pushed me there, and this is what makes me break the fear of writing, of presenting my work, of suffering. It's a very hard, and it's the hardest work. Actually teaching and, and being a professor is easier than being a writer. Liberating myself and maybe liberating others through my work.
One more comment?
All right, I'm back, hopefully for the last time. I think it depends the genre for me, because when I write poetry, it is me, right? It's me on the paper, it's me on the page, and you're getting my inner thoughts, but I'm trying to find some universality or commonality, hopefully, that can help somebody. But I think about the other genres I write in, and when I wrote my first play, which you saw an embarrassing picture of, I thought about all the conversations that happened around the kitchen table, and that was where the center of the play took place. And I thought about all the women in my life who produce knowledge, right, and produce culture and shape us, but don't get a word sometimes, or don't get that recognition, or aren't in the archives or the way that we remember things. And I was like, this is important, what my mom is saying here, what my cousin is saying here, this is all how I have been shaped and how many people can relate to that. So I wrote a play about the kitchen table, right, and the conversations that take place, because I wanted to vocalize all of those different women and elements that produce ideas and concepts that are important that we sometimes dismiss because it's informal knowledge. So I think depending on the genre, you kind of have to figure out whose thoughts you are sharing, right? Is it the people that shaped you? Are you vocalizing that? And I remember Sciences-Newark wrote about her main character, Esperanza. It's not just her, it's all the people in her life that she knows has facets of Esperanza that we know we can connect to. which is why that book is so prolific and canonical. But that's what I have to say. Thank you.
There's this thing I say to my wife all the time. And I say, if you like it, I love it. And that's a way that I approach writing as well. So with writing, or anything that you do, anything that you're passionate about, whether it's sports, whether it's art, whether it's Netflix, whether it's TikTok, if you love it, you can continue to do it. As soon as you stop loving it, or you can't get the desire to have that passion for it anymore, you're gonna drop it. So I do write a lot from a vulnerable place, but I love it because I get to recreate those stories. I could write about people in my community that didn't make it, but then actually make it in the literature. I could write about my own nearsightedness, about me not doing something appropriately or doing something well, and then I could rewrite it in a way where I actually create my own future of success. And I avoided that in the beginning. I avoided that because what I did, I wrote a lot of poetry where I was kind of projecting myself onto other characters. But all these other characters had a little bit of me in it. And some of it was good, and some of it wasn't so good. But in the process of putting down your own writing, you're actually going to learn about yourself. And I'm going back to it again. The idea of you feeling vulnerable and scared about you putting work out there is because when we're walking around with some kind of mask. We're filtered in front of each other. But when we're writing, we kind of take off that mask, and we are who we really are. But if everyone else is walking around with this mask, and everyone takes that mask off, we're all those same people that are writing those same stories. And again, I'll guarantee you, when other random people pick up that work, they're going to connect with it.
Thank you.
The Young Picassos are a musical collaborative with a distinct contemporary Caribbean sound. The experience of our music is a seamless flow over a mix of genres such as soca, R&B, hip-hop, pop, and neo-soul. We are passionate about our gifts and believe it is our calling to spread the culture and our love for the arts to the world. The Young Picassos o Los Jóvenes Picassos son una colaboración musical con un distintivo sonido caribeño contemporáneo. La experiencia de nuestra música es un flujo fluido a través de una mezcla de géneros como soca, R&B, hip-hop, pop y neo-soul. Nos apasionan nuestros dones y creemos que es nuestro llamado difundir la cultura y nuestro amor por las artes al mundo. Originally from Havana, Cuba, Amilcar Ortiz is an Afro-Caribbean film and media maker who is captivated by individuals of all cultures and seeks to awaken our own empowerment through narratives that change manipulations and denials. He studied film and television with a concentration in editing at the School of Media and Audiovisual Communications of the Instituto Superior de Arte, and recently finished a Master of Arts in Individualized Study with a concentration in documentary film, photography, and sociocultural issues at Gallatin School of Individualized Study, NYU. Amilcar has been researching and working on issues related to racial discrimination and the cultural contributions of the African diaspora in Cuba. Particular interest in documenting and visualizing the richness of Afro-Cubans' everyday anti-racist work. He is currently working on a video series that addresses racial issues in Cuba, for which Amilcar has been filming for years. Originario de La Habana, Cuba, Amilcar Ortiz es una cineasta y creador de medios afrocaribeño que está cautivado por personas de todas las culturas y busca despertar nuestro propio empoderamiento a través de narrativas que desafían las manipulaciones y negaciones. Estudió cine y televisión con concentración en edición de la Escuela de Medios y Comunicaciones Audiovisuales del Instituto Superior de Arte. Y recientemente finalizó la maestría en estudio individualizado con concentración en cine documental, fotografía y temas sociocultural en Gallatin, la Escuela de Estudios Individualizados, NYU. Amilcar ha estado investigando y trabajando en temas regionalizados con la discriminación racial y los aportes culturales de la diáspora africana en Cuba, con particular interés en documentar y visualizar la riqueza de trabajo antirracista cotidiano de los afrocubanos. Actualmente trabaja en una serie de videos que aborda cuestiones raciales en Cuba, para la cual Amilcar lleva años filmando.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Amilcar Ortiz. I'm from Cuba. I study here at NYU as part of the continuation of my studies and professional work in Cuba, film and television. I study, I have a master in arts and at NYU focused on documentary film. And I've been working for a long time with these issues in Cuba, and it's also hard to treat and hard to work with. So I hope you all enjoy it, and let's talk later.
Se dice con mucha razón que fue mucho el tiempo que perdimos, fue muchas décadas que se perdieron en esta lucha. Realmente de lamentar, tiempo que nos va a costar muchísimo, yo creo, recuperar. Por otro lado, el cariz que va tomando la sociedad cubana nos obliga a organizarnos con seriedad y rigor para esta lucha que yo creo que no solamente de los negros, es de los de abajo. Yo no creo que los negros salgamos solos. Yo creo que es descolonizar por una parte y es una batalla de blancos y de negros, porque negros y blancos fundamos Cuba y negros y blancos tenemos que salvar Cuba en estas circunstancias, en esta coyuntura dificilísima por la que vive este país. A veces yo pienso, te soy sincero, que más que dar una batalla directamente contra la discriminación racial y el racismo, donde habría que dar la batalla es en esa mentalidad colonial, en ese peso del coloniaje que está ejerciendo sobre la mayoría de los cubanos y las cubanas de todos los colores. Quizás el tema racial esté diluido ahí, y dando la batalla ahí, es una hipótesis, sería mucho más fácil. Ahora, para eso sería imprescindible la participación inteligente, constructiva y justiciera, sobre todo, de los sistemas nacionales de educación, quiero decir Ministerio de Educación Superior, Ministerio de Educación, Ministerio de Cultura y sobre todo los medios de comunicación masiva.
Yo creo que habría que organizar, sin hacer una campaña, hay temor a que se haga una campaña sobre el asunto, está explícito, eso se dijo en algún lugar, no creo que haya que hacer una campaña, pero sí creo que hay que hacer obras y diseñar un proyecto inteligente de descolonización de la nación cubana. Eso me parece que le haría más bien a la lucha contra la discriminación racial, quizás que la denuncia de los casos de discriminación flagrante que pueda haber, que me parece que eso tampoco puede dejarse de la mano, para nada, pero creo que por ahí está. Pero ¿cómo modificar el sistema nacional de enseñanza a nivel desde el círculo infantil hasta los posgrados en la universidad? ¿Cómo trastocar y hacer de la historia revolucionaria y justa, desde el punto de vista marxista incluso, que hay que hacer del pasado cubano? Cuando en definitiva la república no es otra cosa que perpetuar la colonia, reciclarla, y la revolución no ha hecho otra cosa. No ha hecho otra cosa. Alguien me decía con mucha razón en Buenos Aires, un amigo, más que amigo, admirador fervoroso de la revolución cubana, me decía, no es tan grave el hecho de que la revolución cubana económicamente no haya encontrado un camino. Lo terrible de Cuba es que ha perdido la batalla cultural. Y no deja de tener razón. Esa batalla cultural. ¿Cuánto ha costado, 50 años después de la revolución, que haya un reconocimiento público, oficial, justiciero, revolucionario a José Antonio Aponte y a Evaristo Estenos? ¿Cuánto costó? Ahora, dentro de unos días, se va a conmemorar ya el 101 aniversario del asesinato de Aponte. Estoy convencido que pasa sin pena ni gloria. El centenario fue el boato y la opulencia y el discurso y la publicidad. En el 101 pasa por debajo de la mesa. Es así, lamentablemente. Entonces esa es la batalla que hay que dar, la batalla contra el coloniaje, esa costra tenaz del coloniaje que sigue estando aquí en la cabeza de la mayoría de nosotros. Esa es la batalla que no hemos sabido ganar.
La conciencia racial, esto que tenemos hoy algunas personas, no es algo que nace con uno. Ninguna conciencia nace con la persona. Es algo que se va creando a partir de eventos, de situaciones, de encontronazos, de discusiones, de humillaciones. Entonces a uno le van haciendo eso. Lo que pasa es que hay un germen. Hay determinadas advertencias familiares que nos hacen saber que somos diversos. No voy a decir diferentes o distintos, que somos diversos. Bueno, yo me involucro con estos temas en primer lugar por una historia familiar, de la cual uno va tomando conciencia poco a poco. Es muy difícil tomar conciencia racial en Cuba. Es muy difícil por los procesos políticos y culturales que se han vivido en Cuba. El proceso de sovietización, el rechazo a las religiones afrocubanas, la imposición de modelos eurocéntricos, que son los que uno está apelando constantemente desde niño. Aquí las niñas juegan con muñequitas blancas todas, las muñecas negras tienen que ver, no sé, con el nivel de brujería, con el nivel siempre de hechicería, con otras cosas, y es muy difícil. Y se llega a una conciencia de estas cosas, primero porque uno tiene una familia que le permite entender estas cosas, y cuál ha sido el lugar de los negros en la sociedad cubana. Mi papá era un limpiabotas, eso lo entendí desde niño, porque los domingos le ayudábamos, ahí los 5 negritos, ahí, fa. Una zona de la familia que es muy religiosa, practicante de las religiones afrocubanas, uno de los pocos espacios donde se ha sostenido siempre esa resistencia identitaria, desde el siglo XVI hasta hoy, ha sido en las religiones africanas. Y ahí se crea una complicidad y un orgullo identitario que es muy interesante también. Cómo hay un nivel de resistencia y y de dignificación y de alegría, de orgullo en esas religiones afrocubanas que lo tienen negros y blancos, practicantes negros y blancos. Muy interesante cómo se da ese fenómeno. Pero también en la cultura. Por ejemplo, yo me identifiqué mucho con el movimiento hip hop, porque comenzó a hablar de esas cosas. Muchos teníamos esas preocupaciones. La generación de Furé, de Eugenio Hernández Espinosa, de Fulleda, de Nancy Monejón. Pero ellos fueron castigados por hablar de esa historia. Fueron castigados duro. No nos pasaron el batón para hablar de esas cosas. Y luego en el movimiento hip hop, que es otra generación, que es otro momento de la cultura cubana y de la sociedad cubana, son los años 90, el periodo especial. Nacen en ese contexto. No tienen los mismos compromisos de otras generaciones como la mía o las que he nombrado. Y entonces ellos empiezan a hacer una crítica radical de muchas limitaciones en Cuba, no solamente la del racismo. Empiezan a hablar del pelo, del orgullo del pelo del negro, del orgullo de los labios. La gente dice bemba y hasta los negros mismos nos reímos de nuestras propias bembas, porque es muy difícil en un contexto donde los chistes son racistas todo el tiempo que tú alguna vez no compartas uno de esos chistes y no te rías también junto con tus amigos blancos. A veces por conmiseración, a veces por complicidad, a veces porque no te quieres buscar un problema y otras veces no te ríes y los mandas para el carajo ya. Y crea las tensiones que se crean en Cuba sobre estos temas. Creo que son tensiones necesarias porque la gente aprende a respetar al otro. Y entonces, en el campo cultural, el movimiento hip hop en Cuba, yo creo que protagonizó esa lucha de una manera radical, de una manera frente a frente, diciendo las cosas tales y como son. Yo no soy un rapero, pero soy un compañero de viaje de ellos. Los he acompañado, los he ayudado a pensar. Ellos me han enseñado muchas cosas. Terminé siendo el editor de la revista de hip hop cubano. Estuve muy cerca de los simposios de hip hop al principio y tengo una comunión y una amistad con ellos muy fuerte. Entonces me fui involucrando poco a poco porque de esas cosas que ellos decían tú lo ves en otras zonas de la sociedad cubana. Los barrios donde ellos pertenecen, la familia que tú tienes, lo que dice la gente, la forma de identificarse, etc. Cómo la academia rechaza eso. Me pareció, eso me sorprendió mucho. Cómo tú llevas uno de estos temas a la academia y la academia es hasta Guillén, hasta ahí. Lo otro no entra aquí. Entonces me pareció un tipo de rechazo no solamente a ellos, sino un rechazo a mí mismo, a mi familia, a mi condición familiar, los demás. Y entonces ahí yo conocí a otros luchadores. Al final de los 80 yo conocí a Walterio Camponet en la Biblioteca Nacional. Y fue una suerte conocer a Walterio Camponet porque Walterio te ubicaba inmediatamente. Te decía colonizado, te mandaba a leer cosas. Y te hacía conocer nombres que tú nunca habías leído. MCC, Fanon. Y ahí yo creo que empezó una conciencia racial, por lo menos mucha gente en mi generación. De alguna gente en mi generación. No toda mi generación. Los intelectuales negros tienen esa conciencia. Yo creo que esto es una conciencia política. Que es una conciencia que viene de la lucha. Y que la conciencia no se adquiere de un día para otro. La conciencia es un proceso al cual tú no te vas dando cuenta y en la lucha tú te vas dando cuenta y vas creciendo y vas sabiendo cosas y vas estudiando. En el caso mío, léete esta bibliografía, contacta con esto, discute con el otro, aborda tal cosa, empecé a trabajar estas cosas en la literatura, en la música cubana, etcétera, hasta la sociedad, porque lo tenía ahí en la puerta de mi casa. Yo vivo en el callejón de Hammer. Lo veo todos los días de la azotea, bueno, los domingos, escrito sobre eso. Y es una realidad violenta, porque es una realidad de marginación actual, de marginación, de subalternización, de humillación a la gente, de acoso policial a la gente joven, de la gente desclasada, la gente que vive mal en determinados barrios. Y es como si a nadie le importara eso. Muy pocas personas tuvieran conciencia de que eso es importante transformarlo, porque tienes que transformar la sociedad toda. Tú no puedes estar tranquilo cuando determinadas cosas están pasando cerca de la puerta de tu casa. O sea, no sé que tú vivas en un barrio demasiado alto, pero uno se involucra poco a poco en estas cosas. Y hoy yo tengo una visión radical sobre estas cosas. Que hay que organizar la sociedad, que desde la sociedad civil tenemos responsabilidades y el gobierno tiene sus propias responsabilidades también. Hay responsabilidad de ambas partes. Y que este es el momento de discutir estas cosas. Porque este es un momento donde una gran cantidad de conquistas y cosas naturales que tuvo la revolución en los 70 y los 80 ya hoy no son tan naturales. Hoy esos procesos se han desnaturalizado un poco y el espacio de emancipación de la gente se ha constreñido bastante.
right, all right. Let's give a round of applause to Amilcar Cabral, who's with us today. Okay, so this is the moment we were all waiting for. We are here to present the awards for the poetry recitation and composition competitions. That actually rhyme. Composition competition. We will award certificates to the winners. For the poetry composition competition, students were asked to reflect on the role of poetry in 2024. Why is poetry important? What does it allow us to communicate that other genres may not? How does poetry speak to the major issues of our time? Et cetera, et cetera. We have 2 first place winners, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask the winners to come up, and then we're gonna ask the cuerpo a tierra. Then we're gonna ask the poetry recitation winners to come up as well, and we're gonna take pictures, because you know, beauty calls, and that way we can celebrate you. So, first place winners of the 2024 SOMOS Poetry Composition Competition are Valerie Ayana Muthikul from Randolph High School. Where's Valerie? Vente. Round of applause for Valerie. Okay. Quédate aquí al lado mío. Christian Rios, also from Randolph High School. Yeah. Muy bien. Our runner-up for the 2024 Poetry Composition Competition, I'm liking that, is Murilo Santos from Harrison High School. Muy bien. So we're also going to call our winners for our competitions. We'll start with the Beginner Poetry Recitation Competition Award. And the first place goes to Emma Highland. Emma, come on. Run! Our honorable mention, just join the troops. Our honorable mention is Carolina Crane, also for the beginner recitation. Where's Carolina? Come on, let's go. Muy bien. Now, our team competition. ¿Todos listos y preparados? Our team competition, our first place was 2 students, Murilo Santos and Valerie Coronel. Muy bien. Now for the advance. For the advance, we have a first place and an honorable mention. I'm actually liking that. First place for advance, Amy Ulrich from Harrison High School. And for the heritage category, in first place, we have Kelly Perez. Kelly Perez, Bloomfield High School. Our honorable mention goes to Shelsin Vasquez Alvarez from Randolph High School. I give you the 2024 Poetry Recitation Festival winners. Saquen fotos. Yep. Okay, we going to
A little bit more.
Okay.
Even if we have some people kneeling and underneath.
Todos juntos. Métete ahí. More. Like if you're in a soccer team.
Exactly.
Vamos, vamos. Dale, dale, dale. Ahí vamos acá. Yo con el micrófono.
Uno, dos, tres.
Everybody say whiskey. Oh, whiskey. So, all right, since we're in the mood to take pictures, we're gonna ask our volunteers to come to the front too, so you can also embellish the podium with your beautiful faces. Pero tiene que ser ahora because we got no time. So let's do it. Come on.
Poets with us.
Come on. Volunteers, if you have an orange t-shirt by choice, come here.
Okay, everyone has to be in this like section here.
I'm gonna hide.
All right, who's gonna be next to our poet, Dimitri Reyes? Where's our filmmaker?
Mitch got it.
They're in the post. I got it.
You got it?
I got it. Not ideal. I got it.
Abuelita. Abuelita, la tía. 1, 2. Muy bien.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now we also, there's more. There is more. We are here for the raffle.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. For those of you who don't know, my name is Vanessa. We are getting ready to disperse our raffle prizes. And helping me today, we have two of our very own students, Jennifer and Anthony, who are going to assist
to Rutgers. Honestly, it is fantastic. That being said, also, I was able to actually study abroad because of that. So if that's something that interests you, look into it. You never know.
Thank you, Jennifer. Give it up for Jennifer. Graphic card that we're auctioning off is from EasyMart, one of our community partners. And it is for 6 free veggie samosas. They're right around the corner. They're going to be light. So Jennifer's going to help us pick our winning ticket. Should that right back in? And the ticket number is
5544833.
Ah.
So the number is again 5544833.
Anybody? Anybody? No? All right.
That's for me then.
We're going to pick another one.
Okay, next one. You guys ready? 5544876.
Anybody? Do we have a winner? All right, pick another one.
This is rigged.
We have another one. Come on now. I'll take it. We have a winner.
Dale, dale, brinca, brinca.
Congratulations.
What's your name? You gotta, yeah?
Yeah.
But what's your name?
Oh, okay. I have to say my name? Yeah.
I'll use your name.
Yeah. Go for it.
Just your name. Pero ¿cuál es tu nombre? What's your name?
Like introduce yourself.
Your name, the school you're from?
That's it.
Your name, your school you're from?
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
My name is Amaya, and I'm from Maine.
All right.
Más?
Yes.
Come on.
Okay, our second raffle prize, similar to the first one, from our another community partner, Bogota, and this is for 6 free empanadas.
Giving away empanadas?
Entonces el ganador es 5544777. I'm gonna do it in English, so don't worry. It's 5544777.
Do we have a winner?
You got it right there, yeah! And I have 4 tickets too. Yeah. But
Manuel, just give him your name.
You just have to introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Emmanuel, and I'm very happy to win.
Emanuel, no te vayas. Emanuel.
Okay. So our
You stay with us.
raffle giveaway.
We're winners over here. You stay with us.
Our next raffle giveaway is from the Newark Museum of Art. It is for 2 family passes to be used, I believe, until November. Yeah.
The number is 5544963.
We have a winner!
Right here.
Congratulations.
Say your name. Say your name.
Oh, wait. Oh, where? My name's Ariana. I didn't expect to win, but thank you. Do I stay here?
Stay here with us.
Okay.
We're all winners here.
We actually, if you guys like that one, there's good news, we have another. It is another two-family pass to the Newark Museum of Art to also be used in November. Well, till November, I should say.
The number is.
And the number is 5544930. Any winners? Winners. 5544930. Oh, there he is.
All right. All right. How many more prizes do we have?
We have two. Well, three, sorry.
That's a lot of prizes. Let's go.
Yeah, hello, my name is Mahmoud and I'm very happy to win.
Next one.
Okay, our next giveaway is from one of our community partners, Lydia Entities Foundation. And we have a couple of t-shirts for our next lucky winner.
For your wardrobe. Okay, let's go.
I hope someone gets lucky on the front. I think they've all in the back, so let's see. 5544 762.
We have a winner! Do we have a winner?
The next one. What's the next one?
Congratulations.
Nombre.
My name is Renee. I'm from Florida.
Our next raffle giveaway is actually from our poet, Dimitri Reyes. He donated a book titled Papi Pinchon, and that goes to our next lucky winner.
The winner is 5544948.
Do we have a winner?
Anyone? Oh, there she is. Come on down.
Mira. Thing. Sácate un selfie con él.
Que lo firme. Dimitri, fírmelo.
Okay? Okay.
Hello. Hi everyone. So hi everyone. Eso, así nos da. So hi, my name is Anthony Camilo Salas. I'm a senior at Rutgers University in Newark, New Jersey. This is my last semester doubling in both criminal justice and Spanish. The program is really great. Everybody's been wonderful. I've never would have been more fluent with Spanish with the help of my professors and my administrators and everybody here at the campus, really. So whenever you feel like you need more questions, come by, ask us. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions as possible as we can.
Anthony's family actually donated our next giveaway prize, which is original coffee as well as cacao, and that will go to our last lucky raffle winner.
And the winner is, 5544888.
Any winner? Do we have a winner?
One more time, 5544888.
Hey! This time 55.
All right, we'll do it again. 5544828. 5544828. That you?
Vení, que te lo negativo.
Oh, you have it.
You got it?
Is it 8?
She keeps winning. All right.
Can I
You
get a
done?
picture of all of your winners?
that it? All right, we'll take a picture of all the winners. Pero mirando para acá, yeah. Al pajarito. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming. We'll see you next year.
Thank you so much. If you are participating in a campus tour, there will be someone to meet you here.
In the back.